Well, we don't think it's going to be necessary. I don't want to leave troops there. It's very dangerous for, we had 28 troops as it turned out. People said 50, it was 28. And you had an army on both sides of those troops. Those troops would have been wiped out. I don't think it's necessary, other than that we secured the oil. It's in a little different section, but we just secured the oil. And the other region where we've been asked by Israel and Jordan to leave a small number of troops is a totally different section of Syria near Jordan and close to Israel. And that's a totally different section. That's a totally different mindset. So we have a small group there, and we've secured the oil. Other than that, there's no reason for it, in our opinion. And again, the Kurds are going to be watching. We're working with the Kurds. We have a good relationship with the Kurds. But we never agreed to, protect the Kurds. We fought with them for 3.5 to 4 years. We never agreed to protect the Kurds for the rest of their lives. Remember this. When Iraq was fighting the Kurds, everybody thought we were going to fight with the Kurds. I said, well, it's a little strange that we're fighting with the Kurds when we just spent $4 trillion on Iraq, and now we're going to be fighting Iraq. So what I did is I said, we're not going to take a position. Let them fight themselves. I thought the Kurds would do very well. Everyone said, oh, the Kurds will do very well. Well, Iraq moved in and the Kurds left. They didn't fight because they didn't have us to fight with. A lot of people are good when they fight with us. When you have $10 billion worth of airplanes shooting 10 miles in front of your line, it's much easier to fight. But with that, they were a good help, but we were a great help to them too. They were fighting ISIS. They hated ISIS. So they were fighting ISIS. But we never agreed. Where is an agreement that said we have to stay in the Middle East for the rest of humanity, for the rest of civilization, to protect the Kurds? It never said that. And we have protected them. We've taken very good care of them. And I hope they're going to watch over ISIS, because that's, again, most of it's not in the safe zone, as we call it. Some places called demilitarized zone. In the old days, would call areas like this a demilitarized zone. And our relationship with the Kurds is good, and they're going to be safe. And I will say this, if shooting didn't start for a couple of days, I don't think the Kurds would have moved. I don't think, frankly, you would have been able to make a very easy deal with Turkey. I think when it started for a few days, it was so nasty that when we went to Turkey and when we went to the Kurds, they agreed to do things that they never would have done before the shooting started. If they didn't go through 2.5 days of hell, I don't think they would have done it. I think you couldn't have made a deal. And people have been trying to make this deal for years. But we're close to making it. We'll see what happens. Again, they've been fighting for 300 years that we know of. 300 years. So why should we put our soldiers in the midst of two large groups, hundreds of thousands potentially of people that are fighting? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yes, Steve?
You said the Republicans need to get tougher and fight. What are you talking about?
Well, I think the Democrats fight dirty. I think the Democrats are lousy politicians with lousy policy. They want open borders. They don't care about crime. They want sanctuary cities. They don't care about drugs. They don't care about almost anything. They don't care about USMCA. How about that? I think they're lousy politicians. But two things they have. They're vicious, and they stick together. They don't have Mitt Romney in their midst. They don't have people like that. They stick together. You never see them break off. You never see somebody go out and... That's why I respected so much what I watched with Will Hurd today, because he was one of the few that didn't seem to be there, and yet he made a statement. He said, well, I haven't seen any complaints whatsoever from the Ukrainians. I mean, the Ukrainians didn't complain, and they didn't tell any of our ambassadors. This thing is all about a letter that was perfect. You never hear the letter anymore. It was all about whistleblowers. You never hear, what happened to the whistleblower? They're gone because they've been discredited. What happened to the informant? And where's the IG? Why didn't the IG read the letter, read the transcript? He could have gotten it, I guess, I assume. I would have declassified it for him if I had to do that. Why didn't he read this and then see that the whistleblower's account was totally different than the letter? Then he would have said, oh, there's no problem here. The whistleblower gave a false account. Now you have to say, well, do we have to protect somebody that gave a false account? You know, these whistleblowers, they have them like they're angels, okay? So do we have to protect somebody that gave a totally false account of my conversation? I don't know. You tell me. Do we have to protect the informant? Now, I happen to think there probably wasn't an informant. You know, the informant went to the whistleblower. The whistleblower had second and third hand information. You remember that. That was a big problem. But the information was wrong. So was there actually an informant? Maybe the informant was Schiff. It could be Shifty Schiff. In my opinion, it's possibly Schiff. Why didn't Schiff say that he and his staff or a whole group, why didn't he say that he met with the whistleblower? He knew all about the whistleblower. Why didn't he say? He's a crooked politician. Very bad for our country. This whole thing is very bad for our country. In the midst of that, I'm trying to get out of wars. And we may have to get in wars, too. Okay? We may have to get in wars. We're better prepared than we've ever been. If Iran does something, they'll be hit like they've never been hit before. I mean, we have things that we're looking at. But can you imagine? I have to fight off these lowlifes. At the same time, I'm negotiating these very important things that should have been done during Obama and Bush and even before that. All right? So that's where we are right now. Actually, very few. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, will the troops from Syria come home, or will you send them to other military?
Well, they're going to be sent initially to different parts, get prepared, then ultimately we're bringing them home, yeah. We're bringing our troops back home. I got elected on bringing our soldiers back home. Now, it's not very popular within the Beltway, because, you know, Lockheed doesn't like it, and these great military companies don't like it. It's not very popular. And outside the Beltway, my largest cheer in Dallas, I had 25,000 people close in that arena, a record crowd. I had so many people outside of the arena, thousands. My largest cheer that night was two things. We're building the wall. That's number one. And number two, and probably tied for number one, was we're bringing our soldiers back home. That was our largest cheer in Dallas. Great place. Great state, Texas. Tough state. They're tough. When I said we're bringing our soldiers back home, the place went crazy. But within the Beltway, you know, people don't like it. It's much tougher for me. It'd be much easier for me to let our soldiers be there, let them continue to die. I go out to Dover and I have to, I meet parents. It's not a pleasant thing. It's the most unpleasant thing I do. Most unpleasant thing I do. When I see that big cargo plane open and I see those coffins get rolled off, or when I go over to Walter Reed Hospital, where the doctors are incredible, by the way. Saving people that could have never been saved even 5 years ago. You know that. But those people are horribly wounded, horribly, horribly wounded. Wounded warriors. It's the toughest thing I do. Toughest thing is sending letters. I send many letters home to parents, and I speak to parents, but I send many letters home to parents. Their son or daughter has been killed over in the Middle East. For what? For what? There are times to fight, and there are times not to fight. There are times to be smart. We have tremendous economic power, and we're using our economic power much more powerful in certain ways than playing with guns. And much better for our country, and much better for everybody, and actually much better for humanity, okay? Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Doral was a very simple situation. I own a property in Florida. I was going to do it at no cost or give it free if I got a ruling, because there's a question as to whether or not you're allowed to give it, because it's like a contribution to a country. I'd have to get a ruling. But I would have given it for nothing. It's a lot of money I would have given away. Like I give away my salary. I give away my salary. It's, I guess, close to $450,000. I give it away. Nobody ever said he gives away his salary. Now it comes up because of this. But I give away my presidential salary. They say that no other president has done it. I'm surprised, to be honest with you. They actually say that George Washington may have been the only other president to do it. But see whether or not Obama gave up his salary. See whether or not all of the other of your favorites give up their salary. The answer is no. They say it's the only one. They think George Washington did, but they say no other. So I give up. It's a lot of money, $450,000, close to. And I give that up. So I have a place that's in the best location. I'm very good at real estate, very, very good. Much better than you even understand. When you see my financials, which I'll give at the right time, you'll say, man, he was much better than we even thought. This guy knows right here, Mnuchin, because he was in the private sector. He knows very much what I have. He would tell you. Someday maybe he'll tell you. But I'm very good at real estate. There's Miami, this facility, everybody would have had their own building. Everybody in the G7 would have had their own building. It was so good. Florida loved it. They love economic development. It's not because it's a beautiful place. It's new. It's been totally rebuilt. It's new. Everything's good. It's got massive meeting rooms, unlimited for security because it's on, hundreds of acres. Best location, right next to the airport, Miami International, one of the biggest airports in the world. Some people say it's the biggest, but one of the biggest airports in the world. It's only minutes away. It would have been great, but the Democrats went crazy. Even though I would have done it free, saved the country a lot of money. Then they say, oh, but you'll get promotion. Who cares? You don't think I get enough promotion? I get more promotion than any human being that's ever lived. I think I get. I think I would have that. I think I can say that fairly safely. I think I get more promotion than any human being that's ever lived. Some good, some bad. The people that like me give me only good. The people that don't like me give me only bad. But that's the way life is. I don't need promotion. I don't need promotion. Okay? But I was willing to do this for free. And it would have been the greatest G7 ever. And I would have said to my family, because they run my business now, I don't run my business. I actually put all the stuff in trusts. They run my, and I didn't have to do that, but under no obligation to do it. I don't know if you know it, George Washington. He ran his business simultaneously while he was president. Many other presidents, there weren't too many really rich presidents, but there were a few. They ran their business. Hey, Obama made a deal for a book. Is that running a business? I'm sure he didn't even discuss it while he was president. He has a deal with Netflix. When did they start talking about that? That's only, a couple of examples. But other presidents, if you look, other presidents were wealthy. Not huge wealth. George Washington was actually considered a very, very rich man at the time. But they ran their businesses. George Washington, they say, had two desks. He had a presidential desk and a business desk. I don't think you people with this phony emoluments clause, and by the way, I would say that it's cost me anywhere from $2 to $5 billion to be president. And that's okay, between what I lose and what I could have made. I would have made a fortune. If I just ran my business, I was doing it really well. I have a great business. I have the best properties. But between what I lose, and in all fairness, some properties, Doral an example. Doral was setting records when I bought it, because I owned it for a period of time. Setting records. There was nothing like it. It was making a fortune. And then what happened? I announced I'm going to run for office, right? And all of a sudden, I say, we got to build a wall, we got to have borders, we got to have this, we got to have that. All of a sudden, some people didn't like it. They thought the rhetoric was too tough. And it went from doing great to doing fine. It does very nicely now. It's actually coming back, I understand, very strongly. But Doral was setting records. And I knew this would happen. Most of the stuff that I have, because now instead of having 100% of the market that loves you and they love your brand and it's luxury and it's great, now you have 50% of the market. That's called politics. I fully understood that. So it's cost me between $2 billion and $5 billion. And if I had it to do again, I'd do it in an instant. Because who cares? If you can afford it, what difference does it make? If I had this to do again, because I'm making a big difference for the country. The country is stronger now than it's been in many years, maybe ever. Our military is rebuilt. Our economy is hitting records. As I said, best unemployment numbers, best employment numbers. We're strong. We're bringing our soldiers back home from the endless wars. We're doing great. So whether I lost $2 billion, $5 billion, more or less, doesn't make any difference to me. I don't care. If you're rich, it doesn't matter. I'm doing this for the country. I'm doing it for the people that show up. I haven't had an empty seat at a rally. I always say, where's the rally? It's in a certain place. Okay, just get the biggest arena. I go into these massive basketball arenas like in Dallas where the Mavericks play. and fill it up and set a record. I've set a record almost every place I've been because we just need a little small stage. We don't need basketball courts, ice hockey courts. And I take less than musicians because they have bands. I don't have band. I set the world record for somebody without a guitar, okay? I don't have bands, right? So that's the story. And you know, those people are the poll. And I've had great polls. I've had my best polls now. I think it's because people think that it's terrible what they're doing. Pelosi, Shifty Schiff, Schumer, these people are trying to destroy the country. It's a very bad thing what they're doing. The President of the United States should be allowed to run the country, not have to focus on this kind of crap, while at the same time doing a great job on Syria and Turkey and all of the other things that we're doing. North Korea, okay, maybe someday, but I'll tell you what, if somebody else became president with that same mindset that they had, you'd right now be in a big war with North Korea. You don't hear too much about it. Could happen. Could happen. I don't know. I always say, who knows? It's deals. Who knows? But in the meantime, North Korea's, I like him. He likes me. We get along. I respect him. He respects me. You could end up in a war. President Obama told me that. He said the biggest problem, I don't know how to solve it. He told me he doesn't know how to solve it. I said, did you ever call him? No. Actually, he tried 11 times. But the man on the other side, the gentleman on the other side, did not take his call, okay? Lack of respect, but he takes my call. Thank you very much, everybody.
So what's the plan for the G7 now if we're not around? What's the plan for the G7 now?
We'll look at other locations. I don't think it'll be as exciting. I don't think it'll be as good. It'll cost the country a fortune because it's very expensive. I know France had a budget of many, many millions of dollars. They just did it. They did a great job, by the way. But France had a budget of many, many millions of dollars. It's going to cost, a fortune for the country. I was willing to do it for free. But people didn't like that. They thought I may get some promotional value. I need promotional value so badly, right? I don't need promotional. Go ahead. What did you say? What else? Steve? No? That's it? On Iran, what?
Yeah.
Say it. What you mentioned the word impeach?
Do you believe that it's a foregone conclusion that the House will impeach?
Well, I think they want to. Any Democrat wants to because they're not going to beat me in the election. So of course they want to impeach. Why wouldn't they want to impeach me? It's so illegitimate. It cannot be the way the founders, our great founders, meant this to be. But I see this guy, Congressman Al Green, say we have to impeach him. Otherwise he's going to win the election. What's that all about? But that's exactly what they're saying. We have to impeach him because otherwise he's going to win. I'm going to win the election. Look, I have the strongest economy ever. It's the economy, stupid, right? I have the strongest economy in the history of our country. Okay, we're setting records. Over 100 times, I think it's like 118, but over 100 times we've had the highest stock market in history since November 8th. Over 100 times. And by the way, the day I got elected, the following day from there until January 20th, the market went through the roof. You know why it went through the roof? Because they got rid of Obama and they got rid of Clinton. And if anybody else, if any of these people that I've been watching on the stage got elected, your 401ks would be down the tubes. They'd go down not 20% or 30%. They'd go down 70, 90, 80. You'd destroy this country. You'd destroy the country. So I think they want to impeach me because it's the only way they're going to win. They've got nothing. All they have is a phone call that was perfect. All they have is a whistleblower who's disappeared. Where is he? He's gone. Then they have a second whistleblower. The second whistleblower's got, where is he? He disappeared. Then they have an informant. Oh, the informant is, where is he? They're interviewing ambassadors who I'd never heard of. I don't know who these people are. I never heard of them. And I have great respect for some of them. One of them said just recently, a very, very highly respected man, I'm not going to get into their names, but said, no, we were very, very bothered by Joe Biden and his son. Back during the Obama administration, he said, he's supposed to be their witness. Don't forget, many of these people were put there during Obama, during Clinton, during the never Trump or Bush era. You had a never Trump or Bush. You have heard of those people. Those people might be worse than the Democrats. the never-Trumpers. The good news is they're dying off fast. They're on artificial respiration, I think. But no, impeachment, they want to impeach, and they want to do it as quick as possible. And that's pretty much the story,
What
okay?
about Republican support? Are you working behind?
I think I have great
Trump,
Republican
or
support.
Do you run the risk of alienating any?
No, I don't think so at all.
Republicans
No,
in your party?
you know what?
Very angry about the
Look,
Syria decision.
no, you don't. I have to do what I have to do. I'll tell you what. I want to bring our soldiers back home. If people want to leave them there, I'll take that every day. All I know, you were at Dallas, all I know is the place went crazy when I said we're bringing our soldiers back home within this little area. This is a very unique area. They may feel that. But I have to do what I got elected on, and I have to do what I think is right. Now, if I got elected on something and think I was wrong, I'd second guess myself, I'd change. But they want our soldiers back home. And I think we can do as well or better, frankly. Let them, they've got to keep going at each other. It's artificial to have these soldiers walking up and down between two big countries. And by the way, I'm just informed, Larry Kudlow is going to say a few remarks. If you want, would you like to stay for Larry's remarks? Because he's a great, great remark maker. Larry, after that whole thing, Larry, get up and go get it. I'm sure it'll be great.